What's up, everybody? John Eric Pauli here with my MMA news, and today we'll be taking a deeper look at UFC Vegas 75 going down this weekend. Of course, focusing today on the main event in a big-time middleweight matchup between Marvin Vettori and Jared Cannonier. Now, just a few quick thoughts just about this card in general. Really bad card. I think we all agree at that. When you look at it, doesn't really jump out. And that could be because I know a lot of people feel this way. The UFC might be making too many events. And when that happens sometimes, obviously not getting a lot of big time matchups on cards. But just for the devil advocate out there, I will say this, there has been times in the past, especially when you look back at like 2020 in the COVID era, there were a few cards during that time that everybody was like, man, that's an awful card. But when you tune in and watched it, man, what a night of fights. Every single fight was amazing to watch. A lot of high-level action, a lot of knockouts, a lot of submissions, all that type of stuff that we love to see as fans. So don't knock the card until you actually go ahead and watch it. That's the one piece of advice with that. But anyway, without further ado, now let's start breaking things down here. Getting into this main event here, we're going to start with Marvin Vettori. Take a look at his Tapology page here with his record. Of course, Marvin got back into the win column in his last fight. He's pretty good, unless that's against guys that are named Israel Adesanya, who of course has 2 wins over him. One was a split decision though, and his last fight, of course, his last loss was to Robert Whittaker, and it's keynote there. Both Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, both strikers. That could be one big key thing that will factor into this fight with Jared Cannonier being a striker. Now, with that being said, let's go to Jared Cannonier now. We're going to take a look at his Tapology page and see what he's done here as of late. Of course, just like Vettori, he bounced back into the win column in his last fight by beating Sean Strickland. It was a very close fight, mind you, there as well. Now, we mentioned about Vettori losing to Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. Cannonier can't beat those guys either, as you guys could see. And interesting note here, he has some losses to some grapplers, which is where Vettori's going to want to get into the mix of things here. He has losses to Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz. Of course, both of those guys can wrestle, but I will say those fights were years ago. So now that we've broken down all of that there, the next thing we got to look at with this matchup is the tail of the tape. And a lot of it here is going to favor Marvin Vettori. So we're going to pull that up onto the screen now. As you can see, Vettori 10 years younger, 3 inches taller. Despite being shorter, Cannonier actually does have a pretty decent reach advantage. Kind of shocking there. One thing to note, though, that's not on this tail of the tape is that both of these guys are big for the middleweight division. You could tell by Vettori just by looking at him, his size, and of course Cannonier, everybody knows, started his career out at heavyweight, went to light heavyweight, eventually middleweight. So both of these guys are some big boys there. So now let's see what the odds makers are thinking about this fight, because they obviously, play a big key in a lot of this here. So take a look, starting with DraftKings, the official betting sponsor of the UFC. They have this one as a pick'em fight at -110 apiece. FanDuel, very popular with a lot of fans. They have Vettori -120, Cannonier -106, so they have it very close. Sportsbetting.ag, they also have it as a close one. Vettori -112, Cannonier -108. BetMGM, they also have it as a pick'em fight, just like DraftKings, same exact odds at -110 apiece. And then finally, Unibet, they also have this one as a pick'em fight. A little different odds, though, for them, -112 apiece. So now that we looked at the odds makers, we looked at how these guys kind of match up with one another, let's do the big prediction here. For me, I think this one, I think the odds makers, right, the way they have it split, I kind of feel the same way. This is one of those fights. I mean, sometimes guys, you just don't know, really. I mean, you think about it, it's like, well, I mean, we just talked about it. Well, this one has struggled against grapplers. This one has struggled against fighters. Is this going to be a classic grappler versus striker matchup? Who's going to impose their will more? Obviously, those are going to get answered on the night of the fight. We don't have those, of course, right in front of us right now. But for me, here's the big thing when I look at this fight, and this is why I'm leaning my certain way. I'm going to pick Marvin Vettori to win this fight. probably going to get it done inside the distance if I would have to guess as well. But the reason why I'm going with Vettori, the big reason why here is when we looked at that tail of the tape, I thought a lot of that favored him in big ways. He's younger by 10 years. That's a big thing. Obviously, Cannonier getting close to 40. We know a lot of fighters haven't had success later on in their careers. Obviously, Glover Teixeira, amazing story outside of him, hasn't really been done. Also, he's taller. He's probably going to be a lot bigger than him on fight night too as well. I think all that factors in to be a big thing for Marvin Vettori. So go ahead and, look to see Marvin Vettori kind of make this a dogfight a little bit, grapple, make him wear his weight a little bit. I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori to win this fight.